City Patrolman was made in 2002 by the Timetop division of Daidaixing. It was released on cartridge for the TVcontroller, which was a UMC UM6578 based enhanced Famiclone system. The console was also known as GM811 and Master TV Game. Compared to a NES, the TVcontroller has much more memory and can display more colors. The console is however backwards compatible to the majority of NES games and accepts Famicom cartridges. Recently, the UMC UM6578 was widely covered in retro game circles as the first enhanced NES on a chip, with the 1997 Bandai gamepad plug-and-play as an early example of application. Seasoned Famiclone enthusiasts, however, will remember that UMC did multiple NES on a chip designs, several of which were enhanced, and some of them having a lower number within the enumerative naming scheme. An example chip would be the almost identical UMC UM6576, which was famously used in the Sabor SB2000. This shall not distract us though in appreciating City Patrolman as the curiosity it is, a very early example of a game and light gun that ran exclusively on enhanced Famiclones. The light gun in itself is already special, as it is accurate enough to offer full CRT raster scanning. The original Zapper can't read the horizontal CRT axis well, and thus wasn't used in that manner by Nintendo. I just know of two Taiwanese Famiclone games that mix timing-based hit detection with vertical-only CRT raster scanning, and I have covered those in episodes 69 and 18. The pistol seems sturdy, and visually I find it very appealing. The rotatable cylinder actuates a switch, which serves as an optional reload feature in the game. Unfortunately, the game often fails to register the cylinder turn correctly. Sometimes no reload is triggered, and sometimes a single turn will trigger the reload twice. The sights basically consist of two front sights, but I have seen worse and I think they are usable. Multiple decorations on the pistol make it inconvenient to hold, and the thumb cutout is at a very strange location. When laying the thumb into the purpose-built recess, aiming using the sights is almost impossible, as this demands the player to bend the hand heavily to the front. The trigger is very scratchy and almost devoid of any tactility. Sadly, the associated switch is actuated very far back. Directly plugged into a Famicom or likewise wired clone, the City Patrolman pistol isn't compatible. The game itself comes on a typical Famiclone 60-pins cartridge. Although it does fit the slot of the original Famicom, it won't play on it, because the game expects the enhanced hardware. City Patrolman uses assets of other games like Lethal Enforcers and Virtua Cop. Most backgrounds and enemies in the game were taken from the SNES game Wild Guns. In the game's story, the player fights a worldwide operating terrorist group. The game consists of 5 levels and an exercise stage. The first level takes place at several indoor locations. The scenery of level 2 is the streets of a Wild West town. A mining operation is where the third level is located. In the fourth stage, robots are fought in a warehouse. The final level takes the player into a desert. A timer runs in the exercise stage, which adds a bit of challenge. There, an exclusive enemy occurs, a floating red orb. The player uses a 6-shots revolver, which is either set to auto-reload at the beginning of the game, or reloaded via the cylinder on the controller. The player starts with 5 lives of 10 health units each. Shooting a civilian will deduct 2 health units as a punishment. Medipacks of various appearances sometimes pop up in the game, falling from the top of the screen to the bottom. Shooting those will completely refill the health bar. Every 10,000 points, the player gains an additional life. The life bar is furthermore replenished at the beginning of each stage. When all lives are used up, the player may press continue to carry on right on the spot with a fresh full stock of lives. Each of the 5 main levels features an end boss, which is significantly harder to kill. In the last level, a boss appears at each screen, but most are reused from previous stages. Personally, I liked City Patrolman. The music and the graphics were very appealing to me. That the scoring system is very disconnected from the player's actual performance, ignoring accuracy, damage taken and shots fired at hostages, and instead merely granting 100 points per killed enemy breaks the long-time appeal of the game to me. Even using continues won't affect the score. Players can challenge themselves in the exercise stage or by counting the number of used continues in the story mode. Other than that, the game is prone to become dull quickly. City Patrolman was available alone, but also in a bundle together with the console. I like the design of the packaging very much. It looks cheerful, but doesn't fail to show gameplay screens and the light gun prominently on several locations. I think the facial expression of the depicted child looks very amusing. While the box of the console itself stole the TV game's logo from Toymax, City Patrolman doesn't infringe much besides showing some Sega assets in its screenshots. At least 5 other dedicated games were released for the TVcontroller. These were all sports themed: soccer, baseball, bowling, tennis and table tennis. Besides those, there's a rare title called Super Fighter. The label on the cartridge is of a noticeably lower quality than the ones from the other games. The manual made references to the World Wrestling Federation, and therefore it could be possible that the game was struck with a cease and desist letter and vanished from store shelves. I own Super Fighter, but sadly I lack the IR receiver unit and thus wasn't able to use the dedicated wireless motion controllers. The motion portion is based on a spring which touches a metal rod if the controller is moved strongly or tilted far enough. Using a standard Famicom controller, luckily I was able to play the game regardless. Super Fighter uses assets from the King of Fighters series. Sadly, the game runs rather glitchy and suffers a lot of flickering. I like the look of the TVcontroller. The console is rather empty however, and I'm wondering whether there were plans to include the IR receivers into the console itself, as for the translucent purple windows at the sides. A curiosity is that the 2 controller sockets don't have the same number of pins. Besides the Famicom joypad compatible DA15 socket, the other one is just a DE9 socket, as it is often seen with other Famiclones. The reset button is located at the top, and the on-off switch is at the left-hand side. The console outputs pretty distorted composite video and is powered by 9V center negative. In my opinion, the time-top systems and games are very interesting and a lot of fun. I don't understand, however, how some collectors deem those items monetarily valuable, when actually there isn't much special about them, especially considering the contemporary offerings of competing manufacturers. This is the end of the review. My name is Ben. I thank you for viewing.